As you can see, the rain hat is back on. Why is that? Because I don't like my new haircut? No, that's because yesterday we were talking about tornadoes, which was a windstorm. I wore my rain hat only when we started talking about thunderstorms, because that involves lots of rain. You gotta, you know, keep that head safe when you're running to get indoors or inside safe. But today, we're gonna talk about a lot of water called flooding. Okay? And what is a flood? What is it? What is it all about? Let's take a quick peek.
About floods. Floods are a natural event in which a dry area or a dry piece of land suddenly gets submerged underwater. It simply means too much water everywhere, even around our houses. Flooding is very dangerous. The overflowing water carries along objects like houses, bridges, furniture, trees.
Okay, so lots of you may be thinking right away, hey, I like playing in puddles and splashing in muddy puddles like Peppa Pig, and that could be a lot of fun. Well, flooding is when it rains too much, okay? Flooding is when a lot of rain falls in a short time. When a lot of rain, when it comes down really heavy and it very quickly, a flood can form, all right? And that's basically you walk outside and you're standing in water. This flooding is usually not that bad, but there have been hurricanes and different storms that produce kinds of flooding that is very, very strong. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's inside that water. Why should we not play in it? Why should we stay away from it? We're also going to talk about some other ways to stay safe, okay? But the number one thing is what I just said. Flood water is not safe to play in. You never want to go outside and play if you see too much rain, okay? Now, this too much rain stuff, like the man in the video said, it could be carrying your neighbor's refrigerator. We talked about thunderstorms and how if lightning strikes, it could hit the water, get out of the water. Well, there could be electrical things near the water, so you need to not go in it. Very, very important. And this is when there's a serious amount of rain. So what you need to do is get to a place that's higher than the water. Let me tell you a quick story. My cousin lives and my grandma live in Queens, and there was a big hurricane, and her whole street was flooded. Well, the water started coming into her basement, so she had to go upstairs. But she said that she had a neighbor that had to go on their roof or inside their attic to get to that higher ground, and that was where they were safe. So flooding could get very, very strong, but it's really nothing we need to be too concerned about worrying about. I want you to be educated about it and be informed. This way you know what to do. And number one is you don't play in it. Number two, our objective for today is to identify a flood. If you see pictures with people in a small boat and they have a television on it, well, they're probably getting their television from one place to another and getting it out of the flood, or any of their personal belongings and things like that happen. And some places flood worse than others. So if you have a place that is like a lower town, well, then the flood can come in and it could be, not as great for you as it is for other people. So you could have more flooding. But anyhow, so during a flood, you definitely don't want to play in the water, like I said before. And to stay safe, where do you have to go? Well, we talked about gravity goes down. Well, in a flood, you go up. You go to higher ground, okay? And let's take another peek. And why floods happen.
Farms.
And we learned a lot about condensation in the clouds. And we have too much condensation in one cloud. It doesn't rain for a while. Then it could rain really, really hard.
It moves from higher ground level to lower ground level.
So that flood water is moving.
The lower ground is a lot more likely to experience flooding.
So the lower you are is, not so great. So the reasons for the flood, a lot of rain. Okay, when it rains really heavy and not a lot of time, well, hey, flooding could happen. A river can get so much rainwater that it causes flooding. It causes the rain to go over the sides of the river, okay? and there's too much water and they just can't hold on to it, so it spills somewhere else, or floods somewhere else. Why is it important to learn about floods? Why is it so necessary that children, students learn about floods? Well, you may have to go to school and your bus driver's coming to get you, but the bus driver may come a little bit early. His job is to pick you up on time and get you to school on time. So if there's flooding and the bus driver watches the news and the weather before their driving takes place, well, they can learn that, hey, oh man, there's going to be flooding. There's going to be lots of puddles. I'm going to have to drive slower. It means it's going to take me longer to get to the school. So I have to leave a few minutes early. If there's lots of flooding, I might have to leave 30 minutes early or even an hour early. And just to make sure that you're on time, because if you show up at lunchtime, everyone's going to say, hey, where were you? It's okay, it happens. But what you want to do is just to make sure that you're prepared. Flooding also, you may have a birthday party, an outdoor birthday party over the summer, and you may hear about some flooding happening. Well, chances are the party's not going to happen if there's going to be a big flooding problem. And these are important things to think about. Sometimes these floods can come very, very gradually, very slowly, and the water builds and builds, and sometimes they can come kind of quickly. So let's review what we talked about this week thus far. On Monday, we discussed a thunderstorm. Now, a thunderstorm is heavy rain, lightning, and thunder. Now, the ways that you stay safe is you get indoors as soon as you can, okay? You hear thunder, you see lightning, you need to get indoors. And if you're swimming at some kind of party or somewhere, you need to get out. You don't want to be in the water when it's thunder and lightning, okay? And I care about you guys. That's why we're learning about this. And then the tornado is a heavy, heavy windstorm, okay? So a heavy, heavy windstorm. And if you hear a tornado warning, go to your basement, which is the lowest part of your house, or go to the lowest part of the building you're in. You can ask your parents about where to go and where that is. Today we talked about flooding when there's lots and lots of rain in a short amount of time. This can make the waters build and the rivers and the ponds and the lakes filling up with water, spilling over, and flooding is just puddles everywhere. It could get even more than that. Like I said, you could get flooding so bad that you could walk in front of your home and step and be up to your knee with water. Chances are where we live it's not going to happen, but it's very possible. Should you ever play in flood water? If you got a boat at home, can you blow it up and paddle down the river? Paddle down your street? No, you cannot. If someone, like an emergency worker, tells you that it's okay to do that, then you would listen to them. A policeman or a fireman, or mommy and daddy, they would also tell you when it would be safe what to do, where to go exactly during the flooding time, okay? So we learned about thunderstorms, we learned about tornadoes, and today we're talking all about floods. Everybody have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about pretty much the opposite, a drought.